No, I don't want no scrubs. A scrub is a guy in my pug who questions me. What again is the boss mechanic here? I'm a little rusty. Kick this man out of our group at once. How dare you not know? The game has been out for over a decade. Everyone should know everything, always. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Vanilla Azeroth podcast, and today we are going to talk about elitism. Elitism. It's one of the plagues of the vanilla WoW community. Obviously, it's the game that gave birth, I think, to elitist jerks. And so there is this sense of elitism in vanilla, and that is understandable and almost expected in a game that gives you the freedom that vanilla gives you, because vanilla, like life, gives you the freedom to make all sorts of choices, to be a tryhard, to be a min-maxer, to be someone who's pushing the raid content, all of that. That affords you a certain amount of prestige, and so you get to ride around on your special mounts, and you have your special titles that none of the other plebs have, and so you get to be an elitist, and that's fine. That's a part of vanilla. A lot of the fun comes from elitism, even if you never reach that level, right? You're just the lowbie guy who's running around, but you still get to admire all of the amazing armor that person has, or you see that title, oh man, High Warlord or Grand Marshal, and you're amazed at their elite status because it took a lot of work to get to that point. And so it is a part of vanilla culture, and that's fine. But the problem that comes alongside elitism is it's not simply venerating accomplishment where praise is due, but it also then has kind of uglier forms that go throughout the community. And the problem is that we are facing an experience where possibly there will be new players coming into Classic who have not played through vanilla. They've never touched it before. I was always shocked to find out that so many people on Nostalrius hadn't played vanilla during their youth. And so it's amazing. There's lots of people who might be drawn into the game, and one of the things that immediately turns people off is this elitism. It's scary. There's this sense of if you make the slightest mistake, people will be crawling down your throat in anger over it. And you see elitism at all levels. Obviously, at the highest end, there's going to be elitism, right? If you're in Nax and you're still standing in the bad and getting killed and causing wipes because of it, then obviously the people who are elite are going to be angry with you for screwing up things and wasting their time, and that's understandable. And even as you get through the game, you get to a point where you expect certain proficiencies from people, right? Like, once you get to Scarlet Monastery, hopefully that hunter doesn't have his pet on aggressive anymore. Hopefully someone has had that talk with him before. But everyone has to learn the first time. And everyone also makes mistakes, and oftentimes in the vanilla community, it can be seen much more as, let's just get rid of this person. And that is an attitude that didn't happen in Vanilla Live, but it is liable to happen now. It was part of the life of private servers. This is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but bear with me, it has to do with the main point here. What happened was a lot of expert people from vanilla who were experienced players went on to play Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm and yada yada, all the expansions, and they got used to certain things, certain creature comforts, if you will, like Dungeon Finder. Dungeon Finder allowed you, of course, to, add whoever to your group, get your group immediately teleported to the dungeon and assembled, and bam, you're off. And what was amazing about Dungeon Finder was how much it killed the friendliness. First of all, people just didn't talk to each other. But secondly, if you didn't like someone or you thought someone sucked, you could just immediately kick them out of your group. I remember once a guy said in a group, I have to go get a Capri Sun. I'll be right back. And I messaged the rest of the group saying 14-year-old confirmed kick. And we kicked him, and we had a good laugh about it, and it was fun. But in vanilla, that can't really happen, right? If you're in a group that's just made if you're in an alliance group and you've made the daunting journey to Scarlet Monastery, and you've spent, an hour getting there and getting ready, and then you find out that your tank doesn't know, didn't learn Sunder Armor, they've screwed up, or they're pulling two groups at once. They don't know how to do their class, or, you have a DPS who thinks that it's cool to just pull, even though he's not the tank. What would happen is, in original vanilla, you then had to teach that person how to play their class. You had to have patience, because finding another person to replace them would take freaking forever. And so, what happens in vanilla now, when you're playing, is this weird twofold thing fighting itself out. On the one hand, there's the acknowledgement that people are valuable. You need someone in your group playing that role, and you need to teach them how to play the role if they don't know. If they don't know the boss mechanic, you actually have to sit there and take the time and explain it to you. It is in your own rational self-interest to do so, to make them a better player. But add to that a decade of being able to instantly kick anyone who is below your skill level from Dungeon Finder, and you have what should we call it? A very grating attitude towards anything noobish. A very, to use the controversial term, a very kind of toxic attitude simmering there, where anything less than perfection is immediately cast out and thrown out and criticized and mocked and shamed. And so it's tough, because in original vanilla there was a very welcoming attitude towards filthy casuals, because you needed them to get through that Scarlet Monastery run, even if they annoyed you, and you had to teach them a little bit. But now we're in this culture where we're used to just instantly kicking anyone who is less than perfect or less than us in reality. And this takes place in several different parts of the game, and this is where it can be a bit of elitism can cause a lot of problems. I'll give you a few more examples. If you are grouping with someone, they come up and you're both on the same quest, and you make a mistake, the other person is still liable to ungroup with you, rather than just accept an apology and move on. And it's sort of a part of the culture, and the culture gives that norm of, well, look at that noob, he made a mistake. No one makes mistakes ever in vanilla. And so there can be that sense of elitism that stops people from bonding and from just moving on, even though everyone does make mistakes. So that's kind of the toxic level. And then the elitism gets to a point where it actually damages things irrationally. So you'll be in RFC as Horde, you'll be in Ragefire Chasm, and at this point in the game, very little matters. You have your 4 or 5 talent points that you've put in to your spec, if you can even dare to call someone at 15 as having a spec, and you'll get these elitists who are attacking someone of, you're healing and your shadow spec, like what a fool, and in reality, they're just showing their own idiocy. They're showing their own ignorance of the fact that no, every priest level shadow, they're going to be healing shadow all the way up to the 50s, and that's just how it is. But it's this culture of elitism where if at 60 you can mock someone for their talent choices here or there, then why not do it at 15 on the way up? And so it breeds this culture of elitism, which in the end doesn't even serve the game. It just becomes needless hostility. And so perhaps elitism might even be not the most accurate term. You could come up with just another term, but basically that sense of hostility to new players, and that is not going to help anyone in enjoying vanilla. And so that is a part of our community that is scary, that I hope abates by the time we get to vanilla and is cooled a little bit, so that we can enjoy, so that we can teach, so that people can learn, so that we can take a little bit of time and have some fun, even if someone makes a mistake here or there. And that is something that I'm concerned about, but I hope that when Classic rolls around, people will be a little more accepting, even if the game has been around for 10 years, and even if everyone could look everything up beforehand to prepare. And so hopefully we'll see a little bit more of a welcoming attitude, because, elitism can just be brutal. Anyway, my 2 cents on it. If you want to send me an email, feel free to do so at fruitopiasj@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to get back to you. You can suggest show topics or memories you can share. I'd be happy to read them out on the podcast. Have fun.